Food isn't a right, though. Just because you're alive doesn't mean anyone owes you anything.
So yeah, he goes over why food should be right, those kind of things. I think we all kind of know the story at this point. Love his content, by the way. It's one of the people I follow on here. So a lot of people don't know this. They don't make this connection, and it's that even down to the seeds used to grow the food is something that's not even free anymore, right? Like there are a lot of items at your grocery store, we use Walmart for example, that you cannot take the seeds from, plant in the ground, and grow that plant again. They make them sterile on purpose. They don't want you growing on food. There are pesticide companies. I'm not going to name them here because I think it can get me in trouble, but two of the bigger name pesticides companies force farmers to use their seed under the guise that if they don't, the crops will be devastated. So the farmers don't have a choice either because, and there's documentaries on this, if the farmers keep non-sterile seeds that grow past one season, they can get sued by the pesticide companies. That's how backwards it is. So farmers don't even have the right to choose the food they want to grow. And you could say, yes, if they want to grow something else, then grow something else, but not if they can't obtain the seeds themselves. They can't harvest seeds to keep for themselves. Also, the seeds are tainted. So, there's that kind of problem with things. But food should be a right. Food should not be the concern. There should be, just as there should be a universal basic income, there should be a universal basic food allotment that people get. And I'm not talking necessarily the Reagan boxes, but you would help business and agriculture out instead of just giving them farm subsidies. If those farm subsidies were instead in the form of government giving them money for food to give to people, right? Instead of just saying, oh my God, farming is failing, because farming is a very difficult industry. If you don't know that, it's very hard to grow food. It is expensive. And the demand for food's not going down, but to be able to pay for the labor to harvest and work those fields, it's we can't pay people enough. People used to make the argument. I lived in New Mexico years ago, and this is about, I don't know, let's say over 10 years ago now, but I was looking for work. Didn't have too much experience in a lot. I had more IT experience than anything, but IT jobs are very scarce in that portion of New Mexico where I was at. It was in Roswell, a very small area. And a job came up for chili picking in the fields. And they were paying $2.13 an hour. The minimum wage at the time was $5.15, but because it was agriculture, they had a loophole where they could pay $2.13 an hour to have you work 12-hour days picking chilies. You can guess the kind of employees they got. Because $2.13 an hour, even that many years ago, when minimum wage was $5.15, $2.13 was not enough to support anything. $5.15 was barely enough to do anything. And housing wasn't even that expensive by comparison to now. So if those wages have stagnated that bad, they're going to have to do something. And while automation is coming to farming, it's not coming quick enough, and there's still problems with that. Also, with climate change, that's creating a food issue, and it's going to get worse. But food should be a right. People shouldn't have to worry about what they're eating. If you want to buy extras, that's one thing. But the basics should be covered. In addition to that, we could also be teaching people basic cooking skills, which have since stagnated in this country. There are far too many people who do not prepare a basic meal. But food should be a right. People should know how to make things and do things, not to an extreme, but basics should be provided to people. Rice, beans, stuff like that. And it's doable. We've done this before. Other countries have similar setup where they're able to provide some basic food. But with so many people being below middle class and sub even just, $45,000 a year, as I've gone over in another video, food needs to be a right. Those two things right there would make a huge impact. Universal basic income and universal food access. Just simple things. I'm not talking lobsters for everyone. For you people on the right start going nuts. But rice, beans, grain, flour, stuff like that. And then if they have extra, sure, that they can get into those things. But when the cost of the staples is going up because the agricultural field is just falling apart and because food isn't considered a necessity, people will starve because they can't even get the basics. So these things need to be fixed. And in a lot of places too, keep in mind, you can't keep livestock. You can't have chickens. In addition, if you have a greenhouse and they find out you have that, you're not allowed to keep it. They can tell you have to destroy your crops. Here's a kicker for you. Many places have a ban on collecting rainwater. And they always use the excuse that the city needs it or the county needs it more than you do. It's rainwater. It's not your business that people are keeping it. So you don't even have the basic right to water. You really don't. If you can't afford to pay for water, you can't have any. Unless you plan on scooping out of the street and drinking it. Because nothing in this country is considered a necessity. Not medical care. You can try to run to a hospital, but you're probably going to get denied. And I know there's people like, no, they can't deny you. Yeah, there's far too many stories in this country where people have gone in for emergency care and have been turned around. Or they just wait you out. I've experienced that before. No health insurance, and you have to wait and wait and wait, and they just can't get to you. Yeah. So, if we're so free in the United States, how come healthcare, food, and water, the basics, are not basic human rights? And you could add housing to that list. But, yeah, you have nothing in this country at all. You have no rights in this country for that. So, it is unfortunate, and it needs to change.